Good morning, gentlemen. Yesterday, we did talk about alternative model of personality disorder. And we did talk its evolution. Why was it necessary? And we said two things. That there was a lot of experts expected that there should be dimensionality and categorization, so that both the criteria must be met. Based upon this, a decision was arrived at that alternative model of personality disorder would be recognized. But unlike personality disorder, which are 10 of them, these were relegated to section 3 of the personality disorder. Okay. We did talk about that the first criteria was what we call it a level of personality functioning. That is criteria A. It involves an assessment of level of severity. And there are 5 levels of severity: level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. And they have got 4 areas, that is the disturbed self and interpersonal functioning. In self itself is the identity. We are what level, how do we regard ourselves, that identity. And self-direction, are we able to move along in the world or not? Next, interpersonal functioning, where empathy and intimacy functioning was important. Okay. Then we did come back to this decision that criteria A, the severe impairment, has got 5 levels: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's talk about each level now. First level is 0 level, is healthy, resilient, level 0. A healthy, resilient individual feels at home with themselves, as a complex, rich, differentiated identity, and can be consistently self-directed over a long period of time. They are aware of their limitations, exhibit self-compassion, and can take pride in their accomplishment. Emotionally, they are deeply connected with how they feel and are both aware and attuned to the emotional world, while also able to adaptively regulate emotional expression in an effective way. Such individuals will tend to have a history of long-standing relationship built on trust, intimacy, and mutual respect. Under duress, these individuals are robust, meaning they are anti-fragile. They are not easily perturbed or reactive, do not become defensive when criticized, maintain their integrity, do not feel sorry for themselves, and when faced with significant adversity, they demonstrate realistic hope and resilience. Now, next one. Healthy neurotic, they call it. These individuals generally feel happy with themselves, have a reasonable sense of who they are, and can acknowledge weaknesses and take pride in their accomplishments. Emotionally, such individuals feel good when things are doing well, and take pleasure in life. They are generally aware of their feelings and not regularly overwhelmed. Typically, they maintain enduring relationship and are able to establish intimacy, reciprocity, especially when times are good. However, unlike healthy, resilient person, these individuals do have significant character vulnerability and emotional and relation blind spots. Consequently, certain kinds of stresses can leave them feeling defensive, confused, hurt, or reactive. Now it comes to level 3. That level 2. When things are doing well, these individuals feel okay and about life and themselves. They have generally sense of who they are, but it is fragile and fluctuates significantly depending upon context and feedback. Many have sense that they should be better or be more than they are, and often experience a sense of inferiority coupled with unrealistic personal standards. Some competence compensate and present with an inflated self-appraisal to defend against their vulnerability. Strong emotions can be hard to regulate, and they are vulnerable to shame, guilt, and rage. They can have fairly primitive defense mechanism, and their capacity for self-reflection may be diminished, especially when threatened. While they have the capacity and desire to form relationship, their connections may be superficial or fraught with conflict. Relationships are based largely on meeting self-regulatory and self-esteem needs and begin with unrealistic expectations. Next level, these individuals often feel same level 2. These individuals often feel vulnerable, and when significant stresses emerge, they are not able to adjust in optimal ways. Instead, they reactively try to avoid or blame or engage in misguided control that tends to make the situation worse. These maladaptive cyclic patterns, coupled with high levels of trait neuroticism, make these individuals vulnerable to developing anxiety and depressive conditions or related impulse control problems like eating disorders. Okay, next comes your level 3. Level 3, gentlemen, is these individuals commonly feel confused and adrift. They often feel empty or vacillate between extremes in the sense of self, their emotions, and the relations with others. Dissertation on core of borderline personality disorder summarized the structure as follows. Dysfunction, polarization of emotional and relational modes involving splitting extremes and a lack of integration at the internal narrative, social, and identity worldview levels that result in chronic patterns of maladaptive reactivity and impulsivity stemming from a particular bisocial dynamic between neurotic temperament and interpersonal wounding and invalidating environment. The combination of intense emotionally polarized needs and a fractured identity results in erratic and often destructive and impulsive behavior pattern. Under the best circumstances, they can cope with their overwhelming emotionality and often can be charming or talented. However, under duress, their functions can collapse. Depressive, paralysis, panic attacks, explosive outbursts, excessive eating, drinking, sexual exploits, self-harm, and suicidal ideation or attempts are common with these people. Okay. Now let's come to level 4, that called psychotic disorganized. It represents a complete breakdown of reality testing and inability to engage in day-to-day living. Complete withdrawal, delusion, hallucination, disordered thinking, inability to hold a job or manage money, and highly unusual or unpredictable behavior pattern characterize this level. The identity is shattered, and there are a host of cognitive and affective problems. Better to characterize such states as breakdowns in the basic neurocognitive structure that afford contact with reality, rather than framing them as arising from long-standing development personality structure dynamics. Okay. Gentlemen, having talked about what the labels are, it would be prudent to talk a bit on what we call as what is the level? What is the level? Let's say 4 identities that we talked about it and functioning. They are the 4 of them. Personality function. They are called. Just a second. Okay. So now we talked about 4 level. In criteria, I had 4 criteria. One is self-relative self, that identity and self-direction, and the empathy and intimacy. Let's say level 1, level 0, that is the highest level, the healthiest level. His identity has outgoing awareness of unique self, maintains role-appropriate boundaries, has consistent and self-regulated positive self-esteem with accurate self-appraisal, is capable of experiencing, tolerating, and regulating a full range of emotions. As against it, that the 4, that is the last one, score of 4, that is fifth level. Experience of a unique self and sense of agency, autonomy, or virtually absent or are organized around perceived extreme persecution. Bondage with others are confused or lacking, has weak or distorted self-image, easily threatened by interaction with others, significant distortion and confusion around self-appraisal, emotions not congruent with context or internal experience, hatred and aggressions may be dominant effects, although they may be disavowed and attributed to others. Next comes the self-direction. Self-direction is the best that the healthy level, that is 0 level, sets and aspires to reasonable goals based on realistic assessment of personal capabilities and capacities, utilizes appropriate standard of behavior, attaining fulfillment in multiple realms, can reflect on, and make constructive meaning of internal experience. This is what is self-direction, healthy level. And the worst, that the level 5 or level 4, our score 4, level 4, we consider that fifth level, has poor differentiation of thoughts from action. So goal setting ability to is severely compromised with unrealistic or incoherent goals. Internal standards for behavior are virtually lacking. Genuine fulfillment is virtually inconceivable, is profoundly unable to constructively reflect on own experience. Personal motivation may be unrecognized and or experienced as external to self. Now we come to the second one, that is empathy. That till now we had talked about self, identity, and self-decision. Now this for the society. Does he feel empathy or not? Empathy, the 0 level is capable of accurately understanding others' experience and motivation in most situations, comprehends and appreciates others' perspective even if disagreeing, is aware of the effect of own action on others. As against this, the fifth level, that is the level 4, has pronounced inability to consider and understand others' experience and motivation. Attention to others' perspective is virtually absent. Attention is hyper vigilant, focused on need fulfillment and harm avoidance. Social interaction can be confusing and disorienting. And finally, the intimacy. Intimacy is now the healthy level is maintains multiple satisfying and enduring relationship in personal and community life, desires and engages in a number of caring, close, and reciprocal relationship, strives for cooperation and mutual benefits, and flexibility responds to a range of other ideas, emotions, and behaviors. As against this, the fifth level, that is level 4, is desire for affiliation is limited because of profound disinterest or expectations of harm, engagement with others in detached, disorganized, or consistently negative. Others in detached, disorganized, or consistent negative. Relationships are conceptualized almost exclusive in terms of their ability to provide comfort or inflict pain and suffering. Social interpersonal behavior is not reciprocal. Rather, it seeks fulfillment of basic needs or escape from pain. So what we have seen now, we talked about first identity self. So there are some of the questions which are normal now, since we have got 4 levels: identity self, self-direction, empathy, and intimacy. Now there's some of the questions can be asked. You can ask yourself to find out where you are. Experience. Now, first question comes: experience of oneself as unique with clear boundaries between self and others. That is identity. Stability of self-esteem and accuracy of self-appraisal. Capacity for ability to regulate or range of emotional experience. If you ask these 3 questions yourself, you would be able to find out your own identity. Are you there or not there? Which level? You have to judge for yourself where you are. Second is self-direction, pursuit of coherent and meaningful short-term and long-term goals. Have you got it? Or if you don't have it, then there's a problem. Utilization of constructive and pro-social internal standards of behavior, ability to self-reflect productively. So that there are 6 questions which you have to ask yourself to find out where are you there in personality functioning or not. Next, when you talk about society, because we are a human being who live in society, next is empathy, comprehension and appreciation of others' experience and motivation, tolerance of differing perspectives, understanding of one's behavior on others, that is empathy. And finally, what you call intimacy, depth and duration of connection with others, desire and capacity for closeness, mutuality of regard reflecting in interpersonal behavior. So these 12 indicators of the personality functioning are assessed by combination of these 12 questions. Now you may question back, why do you require and where it is going to require as far as SSV or any interview is concerned? Gentlemen, most of the interviews are there to judge your personality. You may be the best of the person, may be very, very intelligent. You may have scored 100% marks, or you may have a 10 CGPA. That will only give you no road to calling for interview. But interview will decide what type of person are you. Even if you get selected and if you live in any environment, for any work, your going up in the hierarchy will depend only on the personality itself. Hence, it is necessary for all of us to understand that personality personality is very important, and we have to be ensuring that personality is what is. And level of personality functioning, as we have talked today, gives you a guideline. It's simply a guideline. So all those students, all those people who desire to join services, Coast Guard services or any government organization, please have a detailed look at this functioning and ask yourself where you are and take corrective measures wherever required. I hope this conveys some meaning. On this topic only, we will talk about other topics in the next couple of days. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.